capital city of Charleston, West Virginia. This is Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis. Inside West Virginia Politics is brought to you by AARP West Virginia, your ally for real possibilities in the Mountain State.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside West Virginia Politics. We're coming to you again this week from the beautiful Senate reception room here at the West Virginia State Capitol. Joining us now as our first guest is the Honorable Roger Hanshaw, Speaker of the House of West Virginia, Republican of Clay County. Good to have you on the show, Speaker Hanshaw. First thing I want to do is get a reaction now to the big story of the week. It's not only a political story, but a legal story that a federal grand jury has been convened in Clarksburg to look into the 11 suspicious deaths at the VA hospital there. You're an attorney as well as Speaker of the House. Just your gut reaction to the significance of this, especially in a state that has so many military veterans.
Sure. I don't practice criminal law, so let me start right at the top with that. But I will say anytime a federal grand jury gets impaneled or we learn the federal prosecutors are looking into anything, I think that's an indication of the fact that the issue is being taken seriously. I will say that from the perspective of the House, we, on behalf of our Committee on Veterans Affairs and Homeland Security back in the summer, had sent a letter to the United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs asking that certain questions be answered and that the members be provided with information about what had happened in that facility. We did receive a response back declining that invitation and refusing to provide that information to us at this time while those investigations were ongoing. So it's good to know that that was not just a formality of a response, but that something is actually happening.
I know our congressional delegation unanimously has asked the same things you guys have asked as the House. So
we were in touch with them about our request. We sent copies of the questions that our members composed to our delegation also.
Yeah, and obviously this has been the biggest story in the media in West Virginia last year. We promise our viewers, especially our veterans, will continue to follow the story. Let's talk about some issues going on in the state. Your number one priority is this Mountaineer Impact Fund that you've introduced in the House. What would it do? Is it kind of like a venture capital fund to help bring businesses to West Virginia?
Well, it's less a venture capital fund, Mark, than a vehicle to facilitate the flow of capital from elsewhere around the world into West Virginia and into the Appalachian region in a manner that lets that capital feel safe and complies with certain federal requirements that make those investments either difficult or outright impossible. Now, it's not let's start with what it's not. It's not a vehicle to invest West Virginia state tax dollars. It's not a vehicle for the state to pick economic winners and losers. It's not a vehicle for the state to choose who wins and loses in the economy. It's a way to get significant large-scale investment here in West Virginia using non-tax dollars from all around the world flowing here into West Virginia in a manner that complies with federal law.
As you know, I was a reporter in Silicon Valley in the boom in the late 90s
Absolutely.
and early 2000s. And it wasn't just the neat things they were inventing out there. It was all the money that was coming in to invest in these things. Are we talking about kind of a parallel type of situation where we're trying to bring some capital in here and make things happen that currently aren't happening?
Well, that's right. We talk here in West Virginia in rooms and conversations all across our state about the transformative effect of the petrochemical industry if it were to develop here in a way to use in downstream use of the shale gas resources that we have. But we know that capital here is an obstacle and is a problem to development of almost any large-scale project. There are other parts of the country where that's not the case. Our neighboring states are investing huge amounts of tax dollars, just checks written on behalf of our neighboring states to firms that are looking to site facilities in our bordering states. We don't have a vehicle that lets us participate in that game. We're not in that game right now. This is a way to do it.
We've had a lot to talk about here, but we're down to about 30 seconds. What are your other top legislative priorities as we go forward?
Sure. Well, we're continuing again this year on foster care. We're continuing to work hard on occupational licensing reform and making sure that we've taken down as many barriers as we can to letting West Virginians who want to practice and ply a trade be able to do that. We're continuing to look at things to advance the tech industry. Delegates Fluharty and Capito have launched a new technology caucus this year. I hope you'll get a chance to talk with them at some point about that. That's an important part of our overall economic development strategy. We're excited to see it develop.
Yeah, and it's a bipartisan technology caucus, and a lot of times when that happens, when both sides of the aisle agree, stuff gets done. Good to see you. House Speaker Roger Hanshaw.
Thank you, Mark.
Come back before the end of session and update us on things, okay?
Be happy to.
All right. We'll have more of Inside West Virginia Politics, and speaking of Delegate Fluharty, he'll join us next.